all, I would like to say thank you to all those who helped me to create this event, namely to my colleague Ana Fidalgo, Claudia Viato, to my friend and colleague Paulo Guerra, and to Erica from JUMP, and Maria Cristina, who always supported me. So thank you for all of you. And also thank you to Pedro Serrão, who always join us and always make part of our team. I also would like to compliment all my colleagues and students who are here in presence and in online. And I would like to talk just a little about what it is the Cultural Studies in Business. So Cultural Studies in Business is an Erasmus project already with 2 years of results, and it is an innovative intellectual output. What it means with this. So with this group, and in this group, we can account with several partners from different countries, like Italy, Lithuania, Croatia, Albania, Macedonia, and Portugal. And also with JUMP as a special partner and advisor of all of these research team and Erasmus program. This group of researchers and teachers across last years, and according them experiences and researches, they proposed to implement a new pilot course in them universities. Using culture as a way to promote business and management. But in Hubi, this subject started to be used inside of project drawing and urban drawing subjects, trying to improve the spirit of management in architecture to the future architects, to the students. I strongly believe that this is a very important subject for us as architects, and that's why that is an experience and an opportunity to make part of this group. For me, I'm very happy because I'm already there and because I met and I know such a wonderful and amazing people. But for my students and for the university, it's also an opportunity to know what people from other countries talk about these kind of subjects. This experience and opportunity make part of a way to give lectures also. Because in our lectures, we talk not only about architecture, but we are talking about communication and about how to promote the business and how to do business with architecture. So, one more time, I would like to say that I'm very happy because we are doing this conference and Multiplier event now and here again. Thank you for that, and thank you because all of you are here. So,
hello everybody, can I come in?
yes, sure.
Hello, can I say questions for you for the cultural and studies in business?
Yeah, sure.
Could you please tell me what do you think about cultural studies in business?
It was the first time that someone talked about business in architecture, and now I am addicted.
Oh, thank you. And you, what do you think about cultural studies in business?
I was kind of surprised because through cultural studies I started understanding better the meaning of doing business in architecture, so it really helped me.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks.
Which curve the marketing and the manager should be like which business?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answers, but now I have to go to another class. Oh, see you.
No, it's your turn. It's your time to tell us!
No.
Come here!
I have to go. Okay. I believe that management should include communication to help in a better way to sell a project. It's very important for us. And everybody have to use these terms. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, don't forget me. I do like cultural business too. This project helped me a lot understanding the meaning of business in our department, architecture. It's really great and it's really interesting.
Okay, now let's see what our professor says about the question.
Well, about cultural studies in business, the situation is very, very serious. It was an amazing project from ERASMUS, and it was an amazing team who explored and developed the idea to create and, to make a new course in management, including some subjects of culture. But for us, architects, and for us in architecture, it was really a good surprise, and we are in some way addicted, because management is a way to promote business, and business it's what any architect will do after the university. So these kind of subjects are very, very important for our world in architecture, because will help us to develop a better way to do business with our clients. Let's start with our conference, and I kindly would like to ask you to use only the 15 minutes per presentation. And maybe at the end, we could have more 20 minutes extra just for some questions and, well, to make a resume of the day. I also would like to apologize because we are wearing masks, but we are together here and we don't have such a big distance now, so we should be protecting according to the law, of course. So, the first person to talk, oh, it's me, the first person who will talk. So, I'm going to share my PowerPoint, okay? Just 1 second. About cultural thinking and communication. But I'm going to talk more about silence and communication. Silence. We are talking about see, feeling, and watch. But by quiet courtyards and gardens, you get the place of contemplation. So it means that this is some words from a book from Papoila and the Monk, you know, from Tolentino. Tolentino, it's one of the priests from Vaticano. And he wrote that by quiet courtyards and gardens, you get to understand the meaning of the place. It means that you can walk and you can feel the city. You can understand what is the meaning of the place. In a general way, it is understood that in order to manage the architecture shape and to make it more emotional, the silence will be a key and a management of innovation. Because it's in the silence that you can dream, implying directly in a new interpretation of space and place, by the way of introspection. You can see in this picture no noise in urban space. It's completely empty. You only feel the shadow and you see one person walking, looking down. Silence. The steps I hear are not coming to me. This is something poetic. It's again from the same priest from Vatican, from Tolentino. It means that he is hearing some noise, but he feels that it's always around because he can dream inside of himself. No sound, but still with echo. You can feel when we walk in empty streets with shadows that you are walking somewhere, and you can talk with yourself. It means that you can dream, you can imagine, you can have a story only for you. For example, in this image, it's from Gdansk in Poland. It's an image with noise or a space without sound. You need to think about that, because you will be architects. Some of the persons who are here, others are real architects, and the others, they can understand, because if you are talking about management, it's the same. It's the noise, or it's a picture, it's a place without sound, what it means. For example, in this picture, we can see the city full of people. So it's an organized silence, but it's not always silence. And why? Because we can feel that no one is talking there. We can feel the silence with the picture. But in reality, this picture is aggressive, it's scaring. So it's like screaming. For example, in this house, it's a project of mine. It's like a screaming in the middle of the silence. This is a house that is flying in the top of the mountain in a small city in Portugal. And all these shapes and all of these volumes are in silence. We can walk inside and we can feel the place. We can feel and imagine our own story. It's like if we are creating a telling story. We create our own story. So we are managing the place. And for example, here you can see a red flower. So color here is a dissonant factor. It means that it is something that it's nothing to do with the place. And what's happened? We are not looking to the heritage, to this part of a construction, because our eyes are looking just to the flower because it's red. So it's a way of communication, and it's a way to understand the place, because we create a reference. So when we talk about management and when we talk about business, sometimes we need to create the right atmosphere to improve the mood of our clients. For example, this is a very simple house, just one door and two windows. It's a ugly house, but our mood and our sense of aesthetical point of view tell us that it is a very beautiful house just because it's blue, and you can feel that it is heritage, and you can feel that it is an old house. So our mood says, oh, okay, it's a very nice house from the past. We need to protect this house. But in reality, it's a bad construction, just one door and two windows, like so many houses that exist everywhere. But with the use of colors, we can improve the spirit of the place, and we can interact with people. So when we are talking about management, when we are talking about doing business, we need, in my opinion, we must, in my opinion, we should, in my opinion, to create some kind of strategies to improve the way how we communicate with the clients, the way how we communicate with students, the way how we will do business. The balance between visual and verbal leads to a closer interpretation regarding our individual experience. It means that I can understand the space according my culture, according what I saw in the past. It's different from my colleagues for sure, And that's why each person understands the place according their own experiences. And that's why some people prefer to go to one place and others to another place. The vision is understood as a perceptive function that is being educated. In other words, we are not born to see, but we learn to see. This is very important because everyone can see, but we need to learn how to see and how to understand the place. It is the brain that makes an understanding of the images that our eyes see or saw. We can have feelings like quiet, calm, noise, etc. By interacting with the place, we provoke a new reading, a new rhythm, in other words, a new sound. And you can see that I'm talking about something real, that it is the rhythm, in this case, of the facades of the buildings, but at the same time, I'm talking about sound. I'm mixing sound with some kind of visual effects, because I'm talking about emotions and I can do it. For example, in this picture, it's a long corridor, but you can see one or two persons. It's like one point, one reference. We are creating emotion. Here we can feel a melody in C minor. It means in Portuguese in Do minor. It's a sound, bass, and calm. It can improve our inspiration. Echo. It's a symbolic interpretation of a soft rhythm. It's like a rhythm that it is moving, it's flying, it's soft. The intensity of light and the game of shadows has a way of abstraction. With the use of new technologies, architects are doing different shapes, different ways of construction. And architecture nowadays, it's much more abstract and lives not only because of construction, but lives also because of shadows, because of light. And we can create rhythms. And just to finish, after we saw and watched all of these pictures, the question is, what is the role of the architect in the sensitive world? How to manage architecture, business, and emotions? This is really the meaning of these pictures. So it was like a telling story of emotions, a telling story of interpretation of the place, that people and architects do it all the time, but there is a big question now for students and for all other architects. How to make business and manage emotions at the same time. That's why cultural studies in business, it was and it is still a very good experience for me as an architect and as a lecturer in a university, because it opened my eyes for something that we felt during such a long time, that it was very, very important to be introduced in our course. Thank you. Numbers can be connected also with emotions. And in the field of architects and with students of architecture, architecture is not only to do construction, but it's also to create atmospheres. And this is very important, because when we create a good atmosphere, we create a better urban layout, and people will feel much more happy during their daily routine. So I will finish now, and we are going, because we are late 3 minutes or 4, so we are now going to João Correia Gomes. I would also like that each person who will speak just make a very, very short resume of what they are or who they are, just for the others to understand. Okay? So, João Correia Gomes, be my guest, please.
Okay, thank you, Sr. Moreira Pinto, for having me at this conference. Good morning to everyone. I'm a civil engineer, master in construction and PhD in real estate investment. I'm the director of course of management, real estate management in the ESAI, Escola Superior de Atividades Imobiliárias, or real estate school in Lisbon. And I'm a professional. I worked for 25 years in the investments and the bank and the financial funds, etc. And now I work by myself. I do business plans. My clients are the state, the church, big clients. I will talk about this kind of things of business plan. So maybe I should start now. Okay. Well, I gather that this meeting's subject is pertinent to changes and challenges around us and how we may overcome them. This subject is more relevant to the professional group of architects, engineers and constructors, the AEC industry. Let me show the, okay, yeah. Okay, everyone is seeing, right? Now, the slides. Okay, now emerge vast opportunities for architects and engineers. However, these professionals have to look at a broader universe than their traditional technical tasks. At the end of this year, 2020, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and simultaneously, we live in a very transformative times. It's like starting a new era, full of challenges and opportunities, namely those in the information issues. The big challenge claims to create, value, much more value, but constrained with restricted contexts. For example, nature and environments are the only resources that we have to share, to work. The challenge for us is getting more and more to offer, but with less and less to use, transform, and destroy. Fortunately, nowadays, we benefit from a new resource, a very fluid and effective one, the information managed through bytes. With technology, we benefit from digitalization of broad and diverse networks by the internet or the artificial intelligence, besides others. These technologies allow us to get much more value than those got by tangible materials and muscle efforts that were in the past. The immaterial is infinitive and is gaining weight in our present economy. Today, it already surpasses the real physical assets, which are very limited in this material world. The real estate industry remains to play a central role in every economy, even today. The AEC industry should overcome traditional tasks and constraints to get more importance in the real estate business. How may it do that? Let's focus on the basics of the real estate business process. Three main stakeholders dominate this business, each one with its own functions. The physical group, led by the AEC professionals, the architects, the engineers, who are the doers. The market group, led by the developers and brokers, people that make money, who are the market connectors. And the financial group, led by investors, bankers, funds, real estate investment trusts, which are the money feeders. Usually, all these groups tend to work apart from each other. I work in all of them. Each one thinks as being the genuine leader of the real estate business. But instead, they tend to misunderstand the function of others. For example, in the financials vision, the AEC matters are more costs than investment. It's not a value multiplier, though they require the best quality that has to be assured by these kind of providers. Thus, financiers tend to cut off AEC bets and not rarely try to cut down costs almost to nothing. This low interaction among the real estate players is a tremendous mistake, as the project losses with this narrow mindset. In the end, society and the client pay more for less. It requires an approach that clues all stakeholders' goals, crisscrosses interests, and operates through information on the most preliminary stage. That is the business plan. And the business plan is an outstanding opportunity for AEC professionals, since ever, wealth creation has depended on flows of people, materials, goods, energy, information, and money. Today, it remains that situation, even stronger. However, it may get efficiency and improvement because of information technology and digitalization. And the flowing in the real world depends more and more on informational issues. And these issues are the main field for AEC performance, working with rational intellect, creativity, knowledge, and lights. This tool is much more than an investment analysis presented through a discounted cash flow, as usual. Above all, it's more a plan for action. That is a regionalized preview of future events and risks to mitigate towards a common strategy, usually to create a more perceived value to the client. And this aim is not restricted to design or technical issues. It needs to attract money to investment and seduce the market to buy. A modern and competitive real estate is tenderly complex, like a matrix of participations, much beyond design or construction issues. Throughout a chain of functions in the real estate process, which integrated contributions create value for all with a multiplier effect. Each agent produces information to the value chain and receives it from others. The process goes on by interaction and information flows. The information flows among all chain parties and past their issues together towards a very shared goal. Everything in the process is information, from the business plan, reports, drawings, checklists, contracts, bills, and payments with money. Money is information. It may play like a system where the total value gets much higher than the parts sum. For that purpose, the creation of substantive value is becoming more akin to intangibles than tangibles. Suppose a business developed through the traditional way, which implements simple and unrefined solutions, mostly supporting the tangible bricks and mortar mindset. In that case, the final product indeed becomes weaker than that, more based on the information and human skills and intelligence. It's more costly to operate without risk valuation and to shift afterward the already built. A business plan should start at the most preliminary stage of the development process. It should preview and integrate the most project constraints and should balance architecture with financial analysis through an iterative methodology to achieve a strategic goal. What is the strategic goal? The highest value to create. It is looking for more value to the client, but with fewer resources, mainly the material ones. In parallel with management and financial issues, the value depends very much on human knowledge and creativity. Here emerges the inception of the business concept, which is beyond the design concept. The building's physical reality is essential in any real estate business, or is like a deed registered on the land registry office, or are all kinds of environmental issues. However, are the intangible issues that allow the significant added value to the property. That is the case of the dynamic attributes at the end of the graphic. These attributes are entirely intangibles. They are related to human sensitivity, psychological issues, perceptual and cultural appreciation. They are less rational than emotional. As the user, the final client, tends to perceive much more value by his own individual experience for life, or to get a happy feeling. It can only project the integration of these intangible issues to the building asset at a very preliminary stage. That is when several scenarios are open and it can be managed easily and shaped by information. But that action would happen much before all kinds of irreversible commitments, before any architectural or financial responsibilities. That is the business plan, such as excellent opportunity for engineers and architects to gain importance in the other real estate business stakeholders' perception. The production of information done by the AEC group may jump to a higher efficiency and value creation level. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor João Correia Gomes, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
And now we are going directly to Dr. Pedro Farromba.
Hello, good morning.
So,
And are you listening? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for the invitation and for the opportunity to present my ideas in this forum. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, so I will speak a little bit about my ideas concerning the cities and the urban design of the public places and how we can handle the future of the urban design. As you know, we live today many challenges, and the urban design of public policies has to be for sure very different from the past. Cities have now to offer a different kind of facilities to attractive people. Of course, we still need the usual things, the healthcare, the schools, the roads, and the services nearby. But we also need the gardens and the space to walk, and for sure a cultural setup to give us the really meaning of life. Our life is faster, and our schedules are every day more and more tight. So when we are not working, and when we have time to relax, we need to feel happy. And in the end of the day, everybody wants to feel happy. Today, it's impossible to build a city from scratch with no restrictions, but it's possible to adapt a city and is growing to a friendlier day by day and to adjust the way that people want to live with a careful economic management of the city. City management has to adjust the supply of water, electricity, sewers, public transportation with a nice environment, with gardens, with cultural infrastructures, but always taking into consideration a careful management of public money. Some centuries ago, people left the countryside and work in agriculture to start a new life in the cities. And at that time, we have one of the major transformation of the cities and of the countries, with more and more people coming and not so much space to build their houses. At that time, higher and higher buildings start to be developed, and the prices of the land were increasing every day, and people have to learn how to live in apartments. Facing this new challenge, but also present a new challenge for the ones, for you, that has to think how to design new buildings and how to design the possibility to people live in new buildings. Today, because of the pandemic crisis, but I think also in line with the trend that came from, I think, the late 90s, we are facing a new big challenge for architects and designers. Using our house to live and to work is a new challenge for design nice apartments that must have the same quality, but with putting now the working space that we until now we don't have in our apartments. Sinking all the space to have to reach both goals. It will be for sure a new reality. For all these reasons, and because we really don't know what is going to happen in next year or next month or even tomorrow, culture is the only thing that can define the soul of a community. And in my opinion, every strategic plan for developing a city must walk side by side with culture. But culture is in different assumptions of the word. Culture as the way as a community lives, culture as a way of providing events, but also the construction of cultural equipments that can generate new public spaces and can be a dynamic way to improve economy. Many examples that we know help cities to reinvent themselves. Guggenheim in Bilbao, Casa da Música in Porto, or CSB in Lisbon are for sure examples that prove that cultural equipments can help changing the image of a city. In other dimension, I think that street art can also be a very important way to show a different position of some cities. And it's for sure is not so expensive, and it's a nice way to see or to approve or to show the world a different image of the cities. Culture will be a key in the success of sustainable development policies as a driver for development policies and people-centered societies. Small, or in the other way, smart cities, creative cities, or even heritage cities only exist if cities define that culture has to be one, not the only, key factor to development. Culture cities help fixing people, fixing jobs, and can be more attractive to find new settlers. If the big cities has all the things that people need to live, they also have lots of people, dramatic car jams, higher real estate prices, and all the bad environment that came along. The challenge, in my opinion, of the public administration of the future is how we can offer to the population a sexier urban layout. In my opinion, the public decision makers has two ways that must manage together to improve our cities. One is to have jobs. Without jobs, we don't have people in the city. So the first one, I think, is to have jobs, creating the condition for entrepreneurs to develop their ideas and for companies to set new facilities. And the other one is to think differently and to make a difference. Cities like my city, like Covilhã, has now probably the same challenge that they have during the Industrial Revolution. How we can keep the memory of the city, keeping the traditional industries, taking care of the important factories that we still have, but looking up to the future and facing this new technological revolution. If we use the same methodologies, the same vision, and the same attitude from the past, we have for sure not the same result, but the worst one. In the next years, all the countries in Europe are going to receive large, huge amounts of money from the European Union. As you know, yesterday was approved in the European plan for facing the pandemic crisis. So we must choose one of two attitudes. We can start crying because of the effects of the economic devastation that is going to arise next year, or we can prepare ourselves to sell the tissues for the ones that are crying. I want to see myself, my country, and for sure my city in this way. Prepare ourselves to be aware of the opportunities. We must make it differently, be more acute, thinking outside of the box. This net generation, the millennials, must be welcome to all cities. They can bring younger people with more appetite for cultural events, with more needs for consumption, but for sure with a very accurate taste for being different, imposing more and better challenges on decision makers. That, in my opinion, is the only way to can handle the future in cities like mine. We need to develop an integrate approach to the future, analyzing the development needs to take creativity, heritage, knowledge, and diversity into account. Poverty is not just a question of material conditions and income, but also a lack of opportunity, of capabilities to face the future. And here is where you, the experts that study the urban development, have a huge responsibility. You must help the public decision makers to build strong communities, to be aware of the opportunities, and to decide to design the cities for the next 100 years. I think it's now or never, and I think it will be for sure a huge challenge that all the ones that are studying now in the university, and especially in this area, they are going to have a huge role in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pedro Farromba, for your words. I forgot to say in the beginning that Pedro Farromba was, and it is, a former vice president of Covilhã City Hall. That's why he speaks so well about urban skills and urban layout, because he's inside and into this kind of issues. So thank you for your words and for your presence here.
But let me just say one more thing. The opportunity, as I said, it will be huge. And I think the students, mainly the students, has to be aware of the future and has to be aware that this time is their time and they can have a really, really important role in designing the future cities, because everything is going to change starting next year. So I think it's the sentence that I finished my presentation, I think it has to be in our heads. It's now or never.
Yes, that is true. We all feel that something different will appear for sure from now, and it's a good opportunity from them, from them side also. So thank you for your words. So let's go now to Luca Baraldi. Luca Baraldi,
yes.
My dear friend, he is from Italy. Maybe you can explain just in 2 words, not in 100 words, because you have a huge CV. Just what you do, just for people understand who you are, okay?
Yes.
And thank you.
Okay, thank you, and thank you very much for the invitation to join such an interesting panel in such a pivotal and relevant conference. And well, actually, I have been working since more than 15 years in cultural management and cultural projects at international level. And since 2 years, I decided to move to another field, which is artificial intelligence and digital policies. But I will tell something about my decision in my presentation. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but I just wanted to add a few reflections about the role, the pivotal role, and the central responsibility of cultural studies in today everlastingly changing world. Actually, I want to thank all the speakers who have already gave their speech, because I think that they've already focused some priority topics that I would like to talk about and somehow to join some points. I think that talking about cultural studies and the responsibility of culture today is something absolutely relevant and necessary. We are facing much broader questions, yet unanswered. And in a complex world faced with global challenges, we can only reflect in a complex way. And so I think we have to ask ourselves some questions. Do the humanities really manage to contribute to the development of knowledge, culture, society? Or what are the issues that we need to take into consideration from a human science point of view? What responsibility do cultural studies have with respect to society? Well, after having worked for more than 15 years as an advisor for international foundations and research centers in the field of cultural heritage, cultural policies, and cultural diplomacy, I realized one thing. The only common thread that had always characterized my professional career was applied semiotics. The only common element in all the projects I attended, in all the courses, conferences, and policymaking activities that I did, was the use of language, or perhaps to be more correct, the use of communication codes. Precisely for this reason, 2 years ago, I began to work and analyze the processes of cultural and social transformation driven by the spread of automated information management systems, and more in general about the role of artificial intelligence in the changing society. In this conference, somehow, after having worked for many years on the role of cultural codes, I would like to share some views on the evolution of communication and the impacts of the separation between culture and what we could call skilled knowledge. In particular, we live in a time in which the misunderstanding of the so-called useful culture is fragmenting the role of complex thinking. Today, I would like to talk about communication by raising especially two questions. The first one, the need for a new education towards critical thinking, and the second one, the limits of automated information management systems. And you will understand why I decided to talk about these two topics in today's conference. Well, in the dematerialized infosphere, in the world of information, the legitimacy of the issuer, the person who emits the content, does not automatically correspond for the recipients to the credibility of the message. The dynamics and the strategies of dissemination and indexing of information on the web are currently not directly bound to criteria of quality, credibility, and legitimacy of the content. At the same time, the speed of information production and the volumes of information produced make it almost impossible to carry out a critical selection of sources, constantly contributing to the dispersion of appropriate information flows. The advantage of the free production of information, let's say Wikipedia or the wiki model, has not yet determined in a rebalancing manner an evolution of the paradigms of hermeneutics of information and social psychology in relation to widespread knowledge. At the same time, transparency and clarity in the use of sources seem to have somehow disappeared, sometimes even within the academic and educational environment. The progressive cessation of the habit and responsibility of citing sources, of quoting sources, or of basing knowledge on data acquisition helps to legitimize the spread of a form of a cultural indulgence towards imprecision and approximation of information. Well, the doubt has become part of the information world's working toolkit in an ordinary way, in a dimension characterized by speed, by perishability of the information, and somehow by a tendential unidirectionality. To address the problem of the impact of this information, physiological or strategic, the Commission, the LIBE Commission, the Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs Commission of the European Parliament, commissioned the study Disinformation and Propaganda, analyzing the impact on the functioning of the rule of law in the EU and its member states. Drawn up by the École des Études Commerciales of Paris and published 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, in February 2019. The report, which questions the relationship between knowledge, information, and social reaction, lists the pivotal role of social sovereignty, social development, and human rights, to which significantly trust in science is added. I would like to focus the attention on this decision. Trusting in science and non-trusting culture is added to the report. In a mass media context in which doubt, alongside a methodical role in epistemological processes, assumes a strategic value, we cannot but question the dangerous consequences of a passive attitude towards receiving information on scientific and technological progress. Two reports produced last year by the NATO Strategic Communications Center of Excellence dealt in depth with the two different phases of the problem. The first one, about strategic communication, called How Social Media Companies Are Failing to Combat Inauthentic Behavior, published on December 5, 2019, demonstrated the simplicity of implementing an information manipulation strategy and the ineffectiveness of the monitoring and prevention systems of the phenomenon. The second one, another report, Disinformation as a Global Problem, published on February 7th, 2020, highlighted the social vulnerability in the face of digital information manipulation strategies. In an area where the topic of artificial intelligence and automated systems has been treated in a very heterogeneous, contradictory way, we know that we have to face an educational approach also as a process of demystifying the false narratives in the field. Whether it is self-fueled disinformation or induced mythologies, it is essential to bring the topic back to its scientifically correct and culturally relevant dimension as an epistemological improvement tool. If artificial intelligence helps to interpret reality more quickly or with a greater ability to resolve and analyze problems, it is necessary to refocus our attention on those who program the mathematical models. Knowing to move in a forest of false myths helps to look around with greater care and foresight. But why am I talking about this topic today in a context like this? First of all, because the economic growth strategy of the European Commission and more in general, the digital plans of all governments in the world are focusing attention on the strategic role of AI. I dare to say that it is not only a strategic issue, but rather a priority one, probably the priority one. Artificial intelligence will revolutionize education, governance, industry, energy, and anything else that allows to produce data. What has not yet been understood beyond the ethic issues is the strongly epistemological characteristics of the impact of AI. Artificial intelligence does not represent a technological evolution, but rather a cultural revolution. The way of knowing the world, of interpreting the world, of living in it will radically change. The way we learn and the way we communicate will radically change. The way we drive and choose what to watch, what to read, what to buy will change. What I mean is that industry, economy, business will increasingly be based on a data-driven model in which AI will represent the keystone of a new strategic and conceptual ecosystem. Basically speaking, of datified reality means speaking of codes, of semiotic frameworks, of conceptual architectures. If we let the direction of the future be led by technology, we're helping to prepare for a future without depth, without nuance. There are tools such as the so-called nethnography or digital ethnography or business anthropology that can help us to try to keep a balance, but much more is needed. We need more tools, more perspectives, more questions, and the responsibility of cultural studies today is much more than what was originally imagined. Perhaps today the role of cultural studies is to give a new meaning to culture, at a time when culture risks being left, let's say, only to the creative industries. If cultural is structurally necessary for a holistic, real, social and human development, cultural studies are to be intended as strategically necessary to ensure that the data-driven society can be, first of all, based on the evolution of thought. Today, I decided to talk about a topic that might seem nonsense, but as a cultural manager, after so many years of experience, I realized how rapidly technology is evolving and how quickly the tools and the thought that should govern them are moving away from each other. Today, I decided to talk about culture and artificial intelligence for a very simple reason. Technology, which will affect every aspect of the business in the future and every aspect of our life, can help us improve processes and identify things, recognize images, save money. It will be able to label things and rearrange them in a more efficient way. Only human intelligence, however, will be able to understand the meaning, to identify apparently illogical correlations, to fit curiosity, imagination, and the need for discovery. Business will rely on technology to improve processes, but cultural studies today have the responsibility to promote models for building and creating the new meaning of things. Technology will help us to make things more efficiently, but culture has to help us not to lose the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luca. Just a second. Thank you for your speech. It was really interesting. As always, you are really a creative person and you touched in several points in many issues, and it was really good to hear you. Thank you. So now it's time for our leader, because Maria Cristina Marchetti from Rome, from La Sapienza. She is the leader of the project. So now you have the stage.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, and thank you everybody for joining us in this morning and this very interesting multiplier event that Professor Miguel Moreira Pinto organized for the project. Yes, I'm Maria Cristina Marchetti from Sapienza University of Rome. But first of all, in this occasion, I am the project leader. Yes, the project coordinator of CSB, Cultural Studies in Business, that is a project financed by the Erasmus Plus Key to Strategic Partnership in Higher Education. And now my duty is to present the project, possibly to collect comments and suggestions from you, because for us this is a great opportunity to go outside the partnership and to present the results of the project outside our inner circle of the participant of the project. So I prepared a PowerPoint presentation just to summarize the main elements of the project. Yeah. So the project aims to produce an impact on how economic disciplines have been thought. We use a very wide notion of economic disciplines, from business to economy to marketing, just to include all the aspects. Because we believe that economic disciplines need to open to a wider cultural dimension. So let's have a look at the design of the project. This is the partnership, but Professor Moreira Pinto already showed you the partnership. Six countries are involved in the project, from North Republic of Macedonia, Lithuania, Croatia, Portugal, Albania, and Italy. We want to thank the Association JUMP and Erika Gherardini for the great help we had from her. And these are the logo. I showed you some picture too, taken from our meeting. This one on the top of the screen is when we went to Portugal last year. It's more or less in this period, but in Rome too. Some suggestion from the activities we had during the project. So let's have a look of the project. As every K2 project, more or less, the structure could be the same. The design of CSB project previews three main intellectual outputs that are the results of the project itself. The first one is an in-depth analysis of the status quo of economic studies in Europe. And we conducted a local research which involved the country of the partner countries, but we realized an international survey using the methodology of the international expert panel. Then we have the second output, that is the pilot curriculum implemented and tested in a period, during a period of 6 months. If I could say, this is the core business of the project. The pilot curriculum has a central role in the project. And then the project previews an output 3, that is the International Online Journal on Cultural Studies in Business, and I show you what is the solution we find for this output. CSB project also previewed 5 transnational project meetings, 3 learning mobilities, and 80 multiplier events like the one we are doing today. And maybe the pandemic situation just stopped us for a short period, and this could be a problem for us, but it was not. So I jumped for what the results of the analysis, of the in-depth analysis, because we have all the graphics and data, and maybe it's not interesting for you. But I mainly want to focus on the pilot course and the pilot curriculum on cultural studies in business, because as I said at the beginning, this is the core business, is the central topic of our project. Because moving from the result of the output 1, we started a creative process that led to an innovative pilot curriculum designed according to the objectives of the Bologna, indicated, proposed by the Bologna process. And what is the pilot curriculum? The pilot curriculum is a short pilot course, more or less 48 hours, but even less than 48, with a minimum of 6 ECTS. To be experimented with the number of students. Is a short course which contains all the topic, the disciplines that according to the project should be included in a final proposal for a curriculum, an academic curriculum for a master degree that mix together economic disciplines and socio-cultural one, because this is the object of the whole project. And this is the final object of the project, the curriculum. Because when we tested through the short pilot course all the disciplines of the teaching activities, the methodology, now we arrive to the final proposal of this master degree. The new curriculum we propose in cultural studies in business can be an empowerment of an already existing master degree, or it can be the scheme, the format, a general format to introduce a new curriculum where it doesn't exist. So we can, we imagine to add some single disciplines in an already existing curriculum, or we can launch a new curriculum in cultural studies in business. I come from the Italian experience, and in Italy the economic curriculum are very, very quantitative curriculum, and the students are obliged to study only disciplines coming from the juridical or economic fields. And we consider that all the socio-cultural disciplines are really important to better understand the economic field too. So this is our proposal, and now we present these in all the opportunities. I am presenting my department too, and Miguel presented in his courses of architecture. The output tree is previewed by the project is an international online journal of cultural studies business. Here we took a very important decision because we decided not to create a new journal, but thanks to the cooperation of the Croatian team, we launched a special issue of an already existing journal that is the Management Journal of Contemporary Management Issues that is published by the Faculty of Economics. And this special issues is devoted to the project, to our project, a cultural studies in business special issue that is the result of an open call launched by the journal on the topic of the project with the aim of presenting the topic to a wider audience. This is the link to what you can find the journal, the special issue, and you can, is an open access journal, and you can download the article. The article comes from the project partner, the project partners, but from other colleagues that are interested in this kind of topics. For us, this is the way to give a great visibility to the ideas we share during the project. Just to conclude, I only want to add something about the pandemic situation, because in the project, the pandemic situation could be a strange experience for the project too. As I said, the project previewed the meeting, the international meeting, the sharing activities, the learning week, and the pandemic situation stopped all these kind of activities, but the project immediately went online on the digital dimension. I just want to remember the Multiplier event and the pilot course organized by Professor Miguel Moreira Pinto. Just in a few weeks, we went online. So I can say, I can stress that all the partners reacted in a very creative way to the pandemic situation. They shared experiences. They had the opportunity to participate to teaching activity organized by the other partners. We had the opportunity to participate to such to the event Miguel organized today, because we can't travel anymore. So we transform altogether a weakness into a strength element for the project, and maybe we reached a wider results respect to the one previewed in the project. And I want to put a final image because I'm really happy for this image, and this is very important for me. This is the site of the Italian representative office of the European Commission in Rome, and these are all the partners when they come to Rome on March 2018, and this is a great day we spent together. But they stayed in Rome 1 week, and it was a great moment for the project too. Thank you for your attention, and it would be very important to receive comments from all the persons involved in this event this morning, and even suggestions for you. Thank you. Thank you, Miguel.
So, thank you, Cristina, for your presentation. Now and for the explanation about the meaning of cultural studies in business. At this moment here, we are with 10 students. I believe it's a very good number for a quarantine time, for a quarantine season, and we are with 42 people online. This is an event that will be during whole day, but I would like to ask if some of the students or maybe my colleague Claudia would like to ask something about Cultural Studies in Business project, the program of Erasmus program. The camera is there here.
Well, good morning for everyone. I should like to ask you one question. Did you apply already in your course something about the things that we are trying to do in this Erasmus program? Did you apply it into any curricular unity or something of course of Sapienza?
Sorry, there's was audio. Sorry, can you repeat, Miguel, the question? Sorry.
My question is about, did you already apply with students some of the contents of the Erasmus program of Cultural Business Studies?
Yes, of course, because we tested all the topic during our pilot course in Sapienza. So we have the opportunity to introduce some of the topics of the project. In Sapienza, we realize a short disciplines, that is cultural studies, we call it the cultural dimension of economics. The Italian title is this, and this is a new teaching activities that will remain inside our teaching proposal of Sapienza University of Rome. I come from the Department of Political Science. We have some economic disciplines, but we add this specific activity to our offer, teaching offer. And we had a very good result among the students. Yes, because they had the opportunity to know some different perspectives on discipline, of economic disciplines too. So we decided to leave this offer inside our courses. So we should the option not to create a new curriculum, because it is too difficult for the Italian law on the university, but we choose the opportunity to introduce a discipline inside our courses.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina. If someone has any question, it's time to do it. Otherwise, we are going to change for the next person. So thank you, Christina, for your speech and for your presentation. We are going now to the next guest. So now it's time for Dr. Luis Santos. Hello, Luis. Are you here? Would you like to explain a little more about what you do? I can see here that you are a project manager and business in Sobral de Montegraça City Hall. Yes?
Yes, it's true. For start, good morning, everyone. Professor Miguel, thank you for this invitation. First of all, I would like to thank you for this opportunity and for being here with you. I will say just a few words about I felt when I started working as an architect and a member of a local city hall. When I heard about cultural studies in business for the first time, it was from the hand of my colleague Miguel. This is a subject that we have talked about many times, because it's very important in these days. He explained what it was, and immediately thought it was a very good idea to combine a management and culture in order to promote and help professionals to do architecture and work in the real life, because this is two subjects in the most of the cases the people don't relate them. This subject was never been thought before, and all we know it is because we learn from our own experience when we start working on daily basis, and questions start to arise. In really management is the basis of our business concept, because without management we cannot do our focus and on a good job and help our clients feel happy with our projects. Our work will be present in their lives for many years. Their lives will be not depend, but our project, they will live in our project for many years. They could change of home, but it's another project. So in my day life as a professional, I often need to develop strategies to speak and sell my projects to the better way, and do that job to the way to the better way possible. So after checking some of the management courses, I could see that the space given to culture and communication almost does not exist. That is why I strongly advise that course in architecture and civil engineering includes some disciplines in that area, so that future professionals can do business better and much more according to the current market. It's very important, this idea, because these two subjects must be related. And when I talk with Professor Miguel, and we talk about the nowadays, we feel that we feel that problem, and we talk about that many times, and during many times. And this is the idea I like to pass you, and I like to give you some idea from someone to work every day in that areas. Sorry about my English.
I believe you can start now.
Okay. So, good afternoon. My name is Guilherme, and I'm here to do a intervention on cultural studies in business project. And the name of my intervention is Kaleidoscope, Stimulating Tourism After the COVID-19 Pandemic. So, first of all, I need to ask this question: what is tourism? Tourism is something that has really been affected with how people perceive spaces and how people want to experience new things. And after the COVID pandemic, I think we really are reflecting on everything else. And like, this tourism has been a really big thing for us. Like, people want to see and experience new things after everything else, and they want to do it safely. So I think tourism has to be really encouraged and something like that. So I did this intervention on this part to stimulate local businesses by tourism. So I'm going to walk you through my project and each aspect of it through my creative process. First of all, there is my first view of the street and the first sketch. It was basically a quick sketch, 5 minutes, just to get a little bit of perception. The street is really close to the center. It's a really narrow and pedestrian street, so like it is surrounded by local businesses like restaurants and stores and everything else. So creating a space there would really incentivize the local businesses to shine again after everything that happened, and we really call tourism to that place. This sketch was more for spatial recognition, so I could work on the next ones. And then I went to the rigorous perspective sketch. It was more defined lines and defined elements just to know what I was working with, and it was really important for the next process of my drawings and everything. And then I did a color study in the street. It was really important to me to perceive the textures and the ambience, and it also gave me notion of depth, like how deep I could perceive it as a human. And yeah, and then I got the first conceptual and slash physical inspiration. I was thinking about it a lot, how I could perceive the space, how I could really create something that could call people, that could make people come to the place, and how there could be a concept behind that. And I was thinking about it, and I never really got to it until I left my front door and I looked at the 2 trees that stand right on the first space that I see when I leave my house. Those trees are always changing, and since it was autumn, I could perceive it better, and I could like look at it and see the leaves falling and giving space for new leaves. And this really made me reflect on how change happens and how this could really, how the seasons work, how this could really create something interesting. And it heavily inspired the final product on a conceptual base. And then I made an initial concept of space in the intervention. It is like how I wanted people to feel in this space, this big corridor with a small amount of light, and the way the light enters the space is how you perceive it, and with a change of perspective, it can change the whole thing. And this is what I wanted for the space. And then the initial concept of color, it's this big change of colors, and how I wanted the space to look like, how I wanted people to look at it and see the colors changing all the time, and whenever you focus on it is a different color, and this is what I wanted to bring to the space. And then I went to the technical sketches, this big mass of triangles and things that are always connecting, and the intervention really taking form on the street. It's a big like conglomeration of triangles on a really straight corridor, and that is what I wanted to like bring to the space. And then the final, the kaleidoscope. The kaleidoscope is like a constant and reflecting pattern of shapes and colors that change depending on how you look at it. And then colors and shape, they unite to create this passing through illusion in the street, and it's like entering another dimension. That's what I wanted to bring to the space. And I want people to experience change and reflect after a long time of confinement and insecurity in this space, walking through it, looking at the colors and seeing their own reflections and everything else. And I hope that the playfulness and the amusing characteristics of the intervention will attract people from the city and maybe even from near cities, maybe from the whole world, to take pictures, to inspire themselves, to reflect on how change happens all the time. And in that way, tourism will support the local businesses and provide even a cultural blend from people that visit it. And that's what the kaleidoscope is defined as, this constant pattern of shapes that keep changing and the colors that change as well, and depending on how you look at it. And that's it. I have also...
The universe is in constant change. It is in the earth, water, and sky. Everything is constantly mutating, such as our lives. We wake up every day different than yesterday, and so does everything else. It's about people, it's about colors, stars, silence. I wonder what makes us so different from each other, what makes blue different from red and yellow, and at the same time, what makes us stay together, like primary colors under the same category. We need to see beautiful things. We need to go out and watch sunsets, sunrises, a field full of colorful flowers. We need moments that happen in time. And time is also constantly changing. Every moment, every movement, every step, everything that makes us who we are, everything that keeps us alive. The world is moving at the fastest pace has ever been. Computers and machines are now the pinnacle of human existence. Cars moving up and down the streets like nobody's controlling them. But still, nobody's on the streets at night, for different reasons than before. And we can see change coming through, in a mirror that reflects every color in the universe. We watch change happening while we walk down this path called life, such as a kaleidoscope, constantly changing, constantly moving, never staying quiet.
Yeah, so that's it. The kaleidoscope is an intervention that can make people go out into the streets again after everything that happened.
Thank you, Guilherme. It was really good to see the way how you enter inside of this subject, and you manipulated colors and you use it to improve the spirit of the street. I don't think that it is so much to improve the mood of people, but to improve the spirit of the street, and then people will feel a different, will see a different lecture, you know, a different way to see and interpret the street. So it was really good, your work also. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And now we are going to change to Professor Cláudia Beato. Aqui? É isto? Não te esqueças que aparece ali. Tens que falar aos bicos. Eu não sei se o som está ligado. Não está, não.
Tá.
Tá?
Hello, everybody. Well,
My presentation is divided in two parts. One of them is to show how our syllabus in Master Integrated of Architecture in University of Beira Interior is as for almost 50 years as the subject of economy and management in his main syllabus. We are one of the few courses in Portugal of architecture that has this subject as an obligatory united, because some of us, we think that the management, the economic and the marketing is a very important part of the life of an architecture and an urbanist in our days. So in this semester, in the fifth year, the students have the subject of economic and management. That as by the moment, this main syllabus of subjects that are given to the students. With this program, Erasmus program in cultural business studies, we are, because this subject is not given by professors from the Department of Architecture and Engineering, it's from the Department of Economics and Management. We are trying with our colleagues from Management and Economic to change the subjects that they are given now and to put one of them, it's cultural business and how we can improve and how we can give the students the background that they need to make some improvements on the cities, make some improvements on the space with the subjects that our students start to study. In the second year, these students that you have saw their presentations, they are from the second year. But how can they, with these ideas, with this background that can be given by the subjects of management and economy, how they can intervene in space with some knowledge that they need about business, about cultural, about tourism also. That is some area that we're gonna improve a lot in our course. So this is the big contribution from this project for the main course. That is that we got to change with those teachers from the economy and management to improve a lot the syllabus of the subject. We are also make a lot of improvement in some subjects, namely projects, and in my case that are urban design. And we are applied, as you saw, the students started to see the space in different ways, with the senses, with the colors, with the perception, even with sociology that we have also this course, and also the perception of the space in the different views. So in the fourth year, this year, we are trying to do in a very small village north of Covilhã at 1 hour of by car, try to do a cultural, not district because it's a very small one, but a cultural neighbor in the center of the village, in a kind of dynamization and requalification of a space that is it's a very important part of the city, but has suffered some intervention in the last years, and of course some has suffered also a lot with this COVID pandemic situation that we have, because they receive a lot of tourists, namely Jewish tourists, because it's a very important place for the Jewish community here in the peninsula and also abroad. But they are without tourists, and we have a very different perspective about tourism that I think for us here in the urban design, that should be something that will appear for the local also and for the Portuguese. And after that, everybody can come. But perspective is to develop this space with a cultural neighbor and attract some activities with the different and innovative perspectives of how to place to the space. So you have some constraints that are, well, not everyone, but a lot of places are trying to do the same. We all fight for tourism, we all fight for business, we all fight for, in our case, in the interior of Portugal, for people also, for inhabitants. So how we can compete without make all the same solutions that sometimes it's what happened. So you have some views of Trancoso. Trancoso is a very small town. It was very important for the form and construction of nationality and for the borders in the Medium Ages, and before that for the conquest of Arab also. And we have a lot of very narrow streets like Covilhã with this vernacular architecture and some erudite architecture also, with the same characteristics that are very well defined here in Beira. That is a very granitic options for materials, a very streets very narrow, almost in this case medieval in this space, and that put a lot of questions about mobility, about a lot of things that we can think about it. So another view, that is the main street of Trancoso, that is the Rua da Corredora. You have different buildings here from 19th century, some of them. The presence of Jewish community is very strong also. You have here some of the new buildings, interpretive center from Jewish community also. And this starts to be the works of the students that are, it's rolling, it's not finished, but it's to work this main place here, that it's almost 2 squares, not very well defined, in the center of the old town, and with some of the most important buildings for the community. Here in this space, we're gonna have a museum. That is a museum of the town, and it's supposed to do all the restoration of the place according to that. So here you have the main area of intervention. This is one of the lateral places of the square. This is the old Baroque building where we're going to be the town museum. This space is a very important one because it was the only space in the halls that were always free without constructions. And here are some of the studies that we started to do. Well, the main question here is about how we can do different, how we can try to do some ideas, and how we can introduce, like you saw by the students that you have presented the works, how we can do something that is innovating, that is unique, that can be a brand for Trancoso, with the culture as a background for the development of business, trying to attract more habitants, more consumers, but without lose the specificity and unicity of the space. And be sure that we are competing with a lot of old towns nearby that are trying to find also the same things. So it's a project that it's ongoing, and it's mainly a question of well, maybe next time we have another meeting, I can show you a lot of questions and a lot of things that the students are doing. So thank you very much for your attention.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Professora Cláudia Beato, for your presentation. And now we are going to one more guest, our friend and teacher from the University of Łódź in Poland, Artur Modliński, from the Faculty of Management. So he is also he's also the coordinator of the research center in what, Artur?
in artificial intelligence and super communication. Thank you for your words, Miguel.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, you can imagine how happy I am to see you. Of course, I regret that we do not see personally because I really dream to hug you, all of you, a lot, and talk with you, not in the pandemic, but in the reality. And as you see here in Poland, it's almost the night. So it's dark and it's no sun for a very long time. So even more, I'm happy to see the sunny friends from far Portugal and other countries, and I would like to share my screen with you. So I hope it will you will see it in a second. It's now. I hope it's visible. If you do not see my, yeah, okay, I see. Thank you. That's quite clear. So, ladies and gentlemen, some time ago, together with Professor Moreira Pinto, we have analyzed the technology that is used in, well, in various cultural institutions. We have analyzed over 100 museums, theater, art galleries to investigate what kind of the technology they're used in this organization. And after this, we have written a text that was already published and is about the substitutive and complementary technologies in these cultural institutions. So I would like, of course, at the first page, you see some of the example of the most, we can say, innovative forms as the robots, which are working as the guides in the museums. But there are, of course, much more. But first of all, I would like to tell something more about the digital culture itself. When we started this research, it was, well, we did not expect that the pandemic will come and that digital culture will develop so rapidly. Yeah, and now we see that many cultural institutions, for example, theaters and also museums, they make the, we can say the internet or the virtual presentation of the work, because in fact, there is no other option to do it. And for this reason, the digital culture is developing very, very fast, and it's visible that internet is a little bit supporting the culture to spread, at least. So I don't have to fly to Portugal or to Paris to, well, generally speaking, see some of the exhibition, but at least I can do it partly from my home, and you can do the same. And you know, when we started to analyze this digital culture, we also take into account, generally speaking, what the people are using, what kind of the technology is being used to make this digital culture possible and manageable in this time. So first of all, we found two types of the technology that I would like to present, but this is of course our common work, and we did it together. So we found that the technology in the cultural institution may be complementary or substitutive by nature. So complementary technology is such one that help us to do something. So let's imagine if you're painting, then for example, the pen or the pencil or whatever you use to paint, this is the complementary technology, because you're using your soul and you're using your emotion, and you use technology, a tool, to express your emotions, right? So because of the technology, the complementary technology, you're able to express yourself as an artist. On the other hand, what is quite innovative, and this is really developing since, well, a few years, it's very new, is so-called the substitutive technology. So we see that there is a technology that is, well, partially or completely replace the people in some work. So for example, some years ago, you had to take a measure and, you know, for example, measure everything and then decide, for example, about some architecture things or elements. And now you have some kind of the machine learning that you make a photo and it's, you know, using many dimensions, and it's then measuring it in, well, instead of you. It's also possible already that the machines, the robots, artificial intelligence is painting, is making the paints, it's making the drawing. Then when we will meet next time, I will tell you a little bit more about what kind of the painting and what kind of the drawing it is, because it's not the topic of my presentation today, but it's absolutely existing already. And what we have found after the analysis of over 100 cultural institutions is this matrix that you see. So this, that CT and ST, this is something what I explained a moment ago. So CT is complementary technology and ST is substitutive technology. And these technologies in cultural institutions are used for two purposes, for managerial purposes and for mission purposes. Managerial, it means to be more effective in management. So for example, have more guests or generally speaking, be more liked. And the mission is generally to teach and to show the culture to the other people. And as you see, when we make this matrix, we may identify the technologies in the cultural institutions that are complementary and they're used for managerial purposes or mission purposes. And the same is with substitutive technology. So we may use it for managerial purposes and mission purposes. And very briefly, I would like to give you some kind of the ideas of what kind of the examples we have found during this investigation. So when we were talking about this complementary technology and managerial purposes, we found that the cultural institutions are using these tools and these technologies to collect data and rearrange the offer. So in other words, when we are going, for example, to museums, someone is tracking how we feel, what we like, what we don't like. And according to this information, cultural institution is able, for example, to rearrange the offer. So for example, change the space, or generally speaking, what Professor Moreira Pinto is specializing in this area is, for example, to design the colors, to change the colors in such a way that people feel more happy on their, for example, they're more nostalgic. So this is generally speaking this thing. The other example of the complementary technology is for mission fulfillment, as I mentioned. And here, generally speaking, the technology is used in three areas: to arise emotions, to develop imagination, and to increase visitors' knowledge. So generally speaking, for example, in theaters, they're used also the 3D technology or the virtual reality, augmented reality. And because all of this, the people who are not artists and they would like to feel, for example, the space or feel the colors, feel the atmosphere, because of this new technology, they can emphasize much more in this in the action or in the plot that you are presenting. And for this reason, because you're able to arise this emotion, to learn the people, they are able to increase their knowledge. So for this reason, this mission is very visible and it's very supportive for the cultural institution to use this kind of the technologies. Unfortunately or fortunately, there is also this substitutive technology. So this one, which is used to replace human in the cultural institution and in cultural business. From the point of view of the managerial purposes, we have identified two actions that are visible for this kind of the technology. So first one is the, generally speaking, the environmental analysis and office work automation. So, when I'm talking to the artists and to the people who are working in culture, they really don't like papers, they don't like bureaucracy, and very often and more, we need people to make papers, to make taxes, to pay the taxes, to make the things that are completely not in line with the artistry. So sometimes artists tell me that they spend more time on taxes, on documents and papers than, for example, on painting, singing, or acting. And for this reason, substitutive technology is used. So here we see a lot of the automation. We see robots that make taxes. There are robots like chatbots who are talking to the people. They're making, for example, the numbers very fast without any kind of the intervention from the artist side. So it was probably, or it is still, one of the most visible elements of the substitutive technology that is used for the managerial purposes. And the last but not least is the substitutive technology that is used for mission fulfillment. So here we also see the three elements. The first one is to educate the clients, to protect some kind of the cultural heritage, and to create culture by replacing artists, as we may say something like this, because there is still confusion if a machine is able to completely replace an artist. I'm against it because I still believe if someone is creating a robot who is painting, the person who created a robot is an artist in some way because it's able to design this kind of the robot. But let's imagine to protect the cultural heritage. You know, I am from Poland, so from the country where the Holocaust and killing the Jewish people during the Second World War was unfortunately a very visible and very dramatic action. And there are a lot of the museums they are about the Holocaust and about this tragedy that took place. And in Illinois Museum of Holocaust in the United States, they use the holograms of the people who survived the Holocaust, and they're generally speaking, even if the people are dead already, because they were old 10 years ago or 5 years ago, they're still alive in the form of holograms. So you can go to this museum, you can talk to these people, and this is absolutely the protection of the heritage, of the testimony of these people that exist. And the last is this education of the people, of the visitors. So there are the robots. You can ask the robots some question. You can talk to the robots. So this is really we have the individual approach, and it's very helpful to make these people a little bit more aware about this, what's happening. I know that our time is restricted, so I just want to tell you as my conclusion, as our conclusion from the research, that technology is playing and really a vital role in the cultural development and will probably be even more important after the pandemic. So when everything finished, I believe that further research will discover even new and even more innovative application of the new technologies. And I really believe that we will have a lot of the chances to study the details about this because it's fascinating. And I know that Portugal is also the source of the great innovation in this area. So I hope this presentation found you well. And thank you very, very much for this. And I really hope that you enjoy it. I hope that after everything happened, we will have a chance to meet wherever in the world, in Portugal, in Poland, and I will really be able to hug you and tell you what happened in this time. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and well, see you. If you have any question, I'm ready to answer them. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Arthur, for your wonderful presentation. Maybe I will kindly ask you to wait a little because in the end we will have around 20 minutes and maybe someone would like to make you any question, okay?
Sure, yes,
if you
absolutely.
still have time. And
participate in this conference. So you know my name, Filomena Martins, I'm Portuguese, I'm a PhD student and I'm a manager from Lisbon Mood and also fashion and art advisor. So I like to do a lot of things at the same time. I like being busy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about fashion art and cultural management. So this was my challenge, so to speak. I believe that fashion embodies a creative process. So I'm going to talk about fashion as art, of course. And I'm going to argue that cultural studies should be present in every academic course, not only fashion course, since they are what I consider not I only, of course, the background for an understanding of our societies, and therefore we'd have to at least have an introduction of cultural studies in every academic course in our universities. And of course, on the other hand, we have the management. All courses need this branch of studies, and I have noticed that most of them nowadays have some management already, but not these cultural studies. So my three major questions, and let's see if I can share these with you. Sometimes I can't. I'm not an expert in, let me see. Yeah, that's it. So this is what I want to share with you. Yeah. Can you see my 3 major questions for today? Yes? Good. So why I believe that cultural studies are important in general and within the scope of fashion in particular. The other question is, which skills should our students develop, and how can we entwine fashion, art, culture, and management? So briefly, going a little bit back in time. So in the 60s, when Stuart Hall started talking about cultural studies, he thought that culture was a space of interpretive struggle. And he really thought about this space having in mind the British Empire, still the British Empire. Later on, there was this lovely metaphor about culture, which is the metaphor of the image of the iceberg. And here you have at the top, you have what you can see. You have the buildings, you have the language, you have the artworks, you have the fashion, the food, the drinks, so everything that you can see about culture. And underneath, you have a very important layer, of course, which consists of attitudes, values, beliefs. So this is closer to our time. And of course that in our present, nowadays, our society is no longer a society composed of one culture. We have, as you know, cross cultures daily interacting. So that's why I believe that more than ever, we have to have this awareness of our cultural environment. And to reach that point, first of all, we need to understand, or we need to have this self-awareness, okay? So I have collected a group of skills that I think that all students need to develop before developing technical skills which are really connected to their course, or even managerial skills. These skills, as far as I'm concerned, will allow them to be successful, to thrive in every field of work they choose to do. So self-awareness, who am I? How do I want to be recognized? What can make me different from my peers? So all of this is important for the individual to create his or her own identity. Then step number 2, cultural awareness within his own culture and within this global village we live in. So this understanding of the cultural environment together with diversity and difference is important, but at the same time, the individual cannot lose sight of the self. Step number 3, communication and interaction skills. So as we live in this multicultural society, and we cannot live in a box, we cannot live in drawers, we have to interact with everyone, face-to-face or online, as we are doing right now, okay? So we have to know how to communicate, how to interact. And to do so, we have to understand different backgrounds, to different genders, religions, to have this knowledge, understanding, and respect, okay? Step number 4, which I really find also very important, and this is interesting because I was listening to talking about also this kind of issue. We have information technologies, okay? This is great, evolution. We can do everything quicker, we can go everywhere, we can communicate, however, so distant from one another. But we have a problem. We have to know exactly which is trustworthy and which is not, because there is a huge amount of information coming from everywhere, and our students have to learn how to select information. Which sites are trustworthy, which are not. They have to know how to do this while they are at university, so that later on they can do that alone for themselves. Step number 5, and here, well, this is also something that should be present in every course, in every university: critical thinking. You have to think critical. You have to ask questions. Never accept anything without reflecting upon it. You have to reflect, relate, because this is the only way a student can construct his informed knowledge. This is something that we have to really, really pay attention to and allow students to do for themselves. Last note, we still have these skills of interpreting and relating, which touch a little bit the critical thinking. So to interpret and to relate, this is also a way of understanding the things they read, the things they see, the things they observe, and they have to learn how to be connected also. And also this last one, to think creatively. So this, we're talking about art, so fashion, or it could be another art form, but specifically fashion. And they have to create a process, they have to do things differently, they have to create their own identity, right? And they have to search for new ideas, new projects. They have to recreate. Sometimes they recreate. They have to recreate that cannot accommodate. They have to find new ways, okay? And they have to experiment. This is something that an artist has to do throughout his life, to experiment. Okay, and I would like to share with you something that has to do with this influence of culture in the work of a very famous fashion designer. Here you have, I don't see if you can see both images, but I have 2 pictures of which were taken during the fashion show of Giorgio Armani this last spring. And he has created a fabric that is called iCut. And why have I brought this here? Because this was created in the 60s with the influence of the hippies. And later on, he has done a fashion show, I think which was in the 80s, going back to do this kind of fabric. And so in 2020, he went back to this, he recreated this. And here you have a mixture of cultures. So he has to be, he is aware of the cultures, of different cultures. So he has this influence, but nevertheless, with all the influences of the cultures that you can see in the details of the fabric, in the pattern of the fabric, you can see that this is Giorgio Armani. And this is what I mean. You can have the influence of the cultures because you are aware of that and because you don't live in a box. But at the same time, you have your own identity and you put your own identity into your work. And this is what our students need to learn if they want to thrive and if they want to be recognized in their work. And so if they want to make a difference, and sometimes they are a bit eccentric and all that, and sometimes they are so absorbed by the creative process that they forget the other issue, the other side of our my participation here, which is the management. Where can we put management here? So this is also a very important tool to thrive in our profession or in their profession. So what happens is we have to let them find a balance between what is a creative process and what is a career management, okay? They need a creative strategy, they need marketing strategies, they need to know that they have to explore both national and international markets. They have to be aware of the social media, how to use social media, and they cannot, once again, lose sight of their own identity. This is very important. So management, creativity, and all coming together, okay? And this can all come together and with success if you are very sure of who you are, of your identity as an artist, okay? So therefore, this freedom to create and express your identity has to go hand in hand with the awareness of the harsh competitive labor market that requires management, cultural awareness, and keeping at the same time this artistic identity that will make the artist recognized, respected, and successful, and prepared to operate in this present labor market. And so this is my short presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
So thank you, Filomena, for your wonderful presentation. I will kindly ask you, if you don't mind, to wait a little more, because we have still have 3 persons.
Yeah, of course.
In the end, for sure, we will have 20 minutes, half an hour, well, wherever, to make some questions if someone would like to do it. I'm quite sure that that will happen.
Okay.
So it was very good to talk about fashion and management, you know. So you have shown us a very important perspective about this subject. Thank you. Ivana Bilic from Croatia. She is an amazing person, researcher and teacher, professor in the University of Split, Faculty of Economics, Business and Tourism from Croatia. So, Ivana, are you here?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yes. Okay, because today at our multiplier event, I have some problems with the microphone, and I raise the volume now, so I believe that you can hear me better. So hello everyone. First I need to mention something. I'm at home, as you can see, and my dog is around and he's confused with all day of Zoom. So if he shows up, don't be surprised, everything is fine. And that's all. I don't have presentation because we discuss about no need to make a presentation, and we define one topic we used to discuss a lot during this project, because Miguel and me talked a lot about the rental business, and I think I can make one overview of Croatian situation, and we can also discuss about what will COVID bring to us. It is a very interesting perspective. So I will start with something we used to discuss a lot before, what is about architecture. Mostly in Croatia, when we starting a rental business, it is because we have something, we have some building, we have some apartment or something, and we use it in a way it is and start a business. Usually that was the case with the weekend homes people used to have around the coast, and 20 years back most of those homes were just decorated with the furniture you want to kick out from your home, and no one pay attention to the design or something. But last, I can say, like 5 years or even 10, many people enter the industry, and they do that like starters. They build designed apartments or houses for the renting, and things change a lot. And if you have an old-fashioned apartment, it doesn't work anymore. You can sell it for 1 month, but it is not the purpose of the rental business if you can sell it very shortly in the peak of the season. And pools, which is something very important. And in Croatia, tourism is coming from the north, from Istria, and then it's coming down. Istria is maybe popular because of the Italian, in neighborhood there are a lot of richer countries like Italy, Switzerland, Germany, Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and it is easy to Slovenia, and it is easy to reach Istria because it is like few hours driving. We need to be honest that Eastern tourism is based on mostly on the car tourism, because there is only one small airport in Pula, and there are no other airports in the region, not so close. Maybe in Italy or somewhere, so people can drive shortly from Venice or similar. But mostly Italy started with everything, and they start with the building pools. They start with the building houses with the pools, which are unit rental units. And that trend was like 10 years ago, and it's coming down across Croatia. And also we start to rent areas in hinterland. So it becomes much more popular to have a rental unit or house or units, it depends how you rent, with a pool. But I'm thinking about, and we do that with a lot of agency, like a big agency, big operators which are bringing guests. But last, I can say 5 years, things are getting much more different, because most of the younger population never use rental agencies. They use Airbnb or Booking, which are not agencies, they are just platforms for booking. And as a person who are renting, you should know how to promote your business on those platforms. That's the first point. And the second point is guests become more different. I remember one former minister of tourism in Croatia. She was a person with a lot of knowledge and experience, and she coming from Dubrovnik, which was one of our diamond for tourism. And she used to say that distribution will not be like this, like June, July, August. It will come more like this. It will become flatter, because people will start traveling over the whole year. And that happens. Actually, she was on time, because we all know that now we have digital nomads who used to travel over the whole year. And the total concept of the tourism, which was based on sea, sun, and summer tourism, is changing. Now we have people who used to come in January, stay 1 month, and next month in February they are going to another place. And they are not tourists which just come, go to the beach, go to make seaside or something, and then go home. They are coming and they are working at the place. What's changed in that point? First of all, you cannot just have apartment which is for short stays. It should be designed for living, because people stay longer, and they need to have a comfortable, home-like environment. It means that you will have a living room, you will have bathroom, you will have washers, all what they need for the longer stay. dishes. And yes, more important, you should have workspace. Workspace become very interesting. If you have a work table, if you have a good Wi-Fi. For example, 10 years ago, many renters, at least in our area at the island, share one internet connection and no one asks you about the speed. But now, most of my guests ask me for the speed limits, downloads, uploads. Why? Because they need to reach servers at home. People extend stays, but they need more comfortable apartments. But they need also they need to set up office at the location. If you are, for example, teacher now, you can travel and stay wherever you want. Most of us are online, and there are a lot of digital businesses, and people simply work from everywhere. I know one group of my students who left Croatia because they decided to move to Ireland, and they stayed there, I think, 2 years, and now in COVID, almost all of them return home, but they work still at the same company still. They work from home, and they spend summer like traveling across Croatia because now they have more money. They can rent something, and they work together. So what happened? We also have groups more often. Not just they travel maybe like 2 persons. You don't know what they are. They're not families. We used to have family tourism before, but now 1 person can rent your apartment, or 2 persons. Even apartment is for 3, 4, 5, 6. They decide to come and live, and they what I notice, even if there are 2 persons, they are asking for 2 separate bedrooms. They like to have comfort, and also, especially this COVID situation, change what travelers want. They like to stay more aside at the islands, at the hinterland, somewhere where it's not that crowded, but also they are looking to have something to do at the location. For example, I don't know, can I say luckily or not, we are in the rental business for 20 years as a family, and this summer I opened the pool, and I noticed that my apartments were in charge longer than others, especially longer than my neighbors who don't have the pool. You know, people sometimes they don't use pool, but they want to have it. Probably they want to make photos. We are there. We have a pool. Even they don't consume it that much. That's the first thing. And also, what I noticed I remember my travels to Portugal and Spain. You have a lot of pools, and I think that trend was there before, but here in Croatia it is still growing. And when we built that, I realized, okay, we have pool, it's like one upgrade, but what can I do to make my season longer and to make my rental more interesting than others for future bookings? And we, next to the pool, we have one big, let's say, I don't know, it is almost like a small house. It is big enough to make a double room apartment, but I decided not to do that. I decided to make a gym, to make a sauna, and to make gaming room and workspace all in one. So I spent, and one additional bathroom, which is next to the pool, next to the sauna, next to the gym. And I believe that most of my neighbors in this moment can think that I'm crazy, but with the all potential I have in future, I can cover the pool, and my guests can stay almost whole year at the location. So it will not be important to me if it is January or February or August. Anytime I can provide my guests with the same level of the service. So I think that additional will be interesting, and that rental business which have to offer something to tourists with no need to go a lot around, especially 2021 until we forget about this COVID. And yes, kids. If they have kids, they need to have some entertainment for the kids, location and the rental. Kids need to have something to do. And in any step of decoration, you should pay attention. If you are adjusted for family rentals, you should adjust your apartment, your additional spaces for the kids, for the safety. For example, I spent like 2 or 3 months in planning with architect. Not every day, of course, but during the time I went to the meetings, we discussed it, to make all flats from the situation I have on my location. I want to make a flat all from the gym to the pool and sun decks and everything, and terrace, just to avoid to make a space which is dangerous in any way. So I believe that in future we will pay a lot of attention how to make our rental comfortable, and how to provide more services and safety. And especially in next year, I believe that in the private rentals will come back to the game faster than it will be with the big hotels. And camping is also very popular. I see that because everyone is separate. So this year was good for the camping also, because people feel that they are more secure in camp than in big hotels. That's something I pointed out. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Hello, hello, Ivana.
Yes, I'm there.
I'm seeing you.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you, like I asked to the others, to wait a little more if it is possible, just 3 or 4 hours more. I'm joking. Okay, 10 hours.
10 hours.
Because we still have 2 persons to make a presentation, and then in the end, we would like to make some questions to you and to other guests. Is it possible?
Okay.
Okay. So now I'm with one problem, because as I told you, we are very, very earlier. So we are earlier around 35 minutes. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if Rita Ochoa is already online, because she was booked for 4 p.m.
And now is...
No, it's not. And Antonio Polainas, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Ah.
Okay. Was
Great.
the video disconnected? Hello, how are you?
Hello. So for the first time, please talk a lot.
No, it's just a few words. Well,
no, you can even sing.
No, I write it because you said about 10-15 minutes, so I have to write it.
So in that case, read slowly, because there are people who don't understand. So you need to read very slowly, okay?
Very, very, very slowly. I'll try to have a small presentation.
Like to say what you do in life, that you like to play tennis, drive cars, and that kind of thing, because people like
that kind of things, you know. Okay, are you seeing the PowerPoint? Okay, so oops, sorry, wrong. Okay, we can hear. Okay, everything is okay with you now? It's okay. So my name is Antonio Polainas. I am reading, so it's easier. and I'm Portuguese, of course, and it's very nice to meet you all. First, I would like to thank my dear friend Miguel for this initiative that allows these difficult times of social distance and isolation to be able to gather a high and distinguished number of professors, researchers, students from different countries to debate theme, cultural studies and business. Second, I am especially grateful to be here and for the opportunity to see friends and colleagues, although it's not in person. I would like to send a big brotherly hug to all of you. In the nutshell, I'm an architect, researcher, a TV set designer, and a university professor. In fact, I have had the privilege of working and developing many projects in the subjects I love the most: architecture, scenography, and teaching. At first glance, these subjects may not appear related to each other, but contrary to what may seem, they have a strong connection between them. The knowledge I have gained from working simultaneously in these subjects and almost 4 decades of professional experience allows me to share with you some reflections. Sorry. Okay. So today I would like to take you on a journey where we start in the present moment with the current shortcomings and difficulties and travel together to an ideal future. The main theme of this journey is business management training for arts professionals, in particular, of course, for stage designers.
Plainas, sorry,
yep.
Plainas.
Yes.
The internet will fall down. The internet, no, the Zoom will fall down. I'm going to disconnect and please connect again, okay?
Okay, I will start with this. Okay, okay.
Sorry, I'm really sorry.
Oh, I don't know if I'm sorry. Okay.
This is the virtual world.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Okay, thank you. So, okay. I was so, which another paradox is, for example, the activity of set design is essentially a business based. So it's a paradox. And the timing is here and now. Many years of failed attempts have already passed and a lot of money has been spent on subsidies and grants to artificially maintain structures. Structures that, if properly monetized, could be autonomous and prosperous. The current COVID-19 crisis has brought to light the unpreparedness of cultural and art agents to manage situation of labor instability on this scale. There is not even the capacity to form strong and dynamic associations, nor to find alternative solutions. This inefficiency is visible both at the state level, professional groups, and individual artists themselves. Lastly, in my opinion, it's imperative to introduce a new set of measures into university level of art education to ensure a more multidisciplinary mindset as a concept of education that comprises both art knowledge and business experience in an open stream of thought that goes beyond dogmas from the past about separation of different knowledge areas. If you manage to implant this dynamic and open background to the course structure, I believe that in short term we can improve the work autonomy of art professionals, we can generate new cultural channels, we can enhance the equality and diversity of cultural offer at the regional and national level, and we can increase job opportunities and new business. So finally, you can create new art agents who know how to manage cultural activities and do other art business related work. So with this, I finish my reflection about state of art in this moment in Set Design University, because I'm very worried with the future of the students without, as you can see, easily see, without any kind of preparation for the world of business. So thank you for your attention. I bid you farewell with the expectation of meeting you again soon in the future conference with already challenge. Miguel, my best regards to everyone.
Antonio Blinas, many thanks for your great presentation, as usual, you know. And I'm quite sure that also my students, and of course my colleagues that they are online, but I'm talking about my students, if they are still here, for sure they will enjoy to see your presentation and your subject. We are going now to cross to another professor, to another presentation, okay? And if you don't mind, can you stay online just more 15 minutes? Because after the next one, we will open just a small time for debate. Is it okay for you? Yes? So
yes.
Let's hear the other colleague, and then we will open for some questions if someone would like to make any comments, okay? So next one, and we are earlier, at this moment we are earlier 15 minutes. Professor Rita Ochoa, are you online?
Hello everybody, I'm here online.
Hello Rita. So maybe you will start your presentation, maybe you can tell to the group who you are, okay? And then you can start with your presentation. Is it okay?
Okay, Miguel, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you listening to me well?
Yes. Very well.
So I'm an architect and urban researcher. I'm a colleague of Miguel Moreira Pinto, Claudia Beatet. They are organizing this interesting session, and I make my research about public art and the role of the art in the process of urban regeneration. So can I start it, Miguel?
Yes, please, Rita.
So I will share my, let's see. Can you see it? Is it available? Yes?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. So I hope this will fit on this debate. This presentation is a reflection about, as I said, the process of implementation of art in a city, emphasizing how it can be a value and driving urban regeneration processes and others, but also bringing questions about the way art can be implemented, sometimes without any recognizable criteria. This is an approach from public art, not from the field of history of art as usual, but from urbanism and architecture. Indeed, it is considered as urban art as a urban fact in relation with its environment and not as an isolated object. At the image, we can see the sculpture Ribeira das Naus in Lisbon, which in this time, this photo is from 2011. This sculpture was dismantled and surrounded by trash before the beginning of a set of works of regeneration of the urban waterfront. Starting from this theme of the placement of public art, it raises several questions. Which spaces in a city could be elected? What kind of relations exist between the characteristics of those spaces and the interventions? if it's possible to relate historical moments with paradigms of monumentalization, and authors such as Camilo Sitte, Kostov, Josely, Stuban focuses on this relation between art and the place. In this case of the place of monuments, in a more closed acception of public art, in a framework that positions it across different disciplines. In port cities, in particular in Lisbon, which I studied in my recent investigation, the waterfront were and are privileged spaces for the placement of public art. In recent years, 173 elements of public art were identified, some of them with a strong symbolic charge. So in this context, we can say that the placement of public art can be a way to emphasize the monumentalization of these spaces, like waterfronts or others, like historical centers, gardens, and more strong places in city, as we can say like this. An iconic example of this is the equestrian statue of Dom José I in Praça do Comércio in Lisbon. And it is clearly a representation of the king's power, and in our days a symbol of the city, due of course to its symbolic charge, but also to its relationship with the surroundings, with the waterfront square and with a monumental X that opens the city to the river. Along Lisbon's waterfront, one can find a wide variety of words, as I said before. However, the criteria, as I also said, not always are evident. In some cases, there are some thematic correspondences through the toponymy and others, but few situations promote true integration with the place. Finding the sense of integration, I will show here two examples that I think are relevant to illustrate this point of view. One is this intervention in a viaduct by Eduard Neri, a work of 2003, and the other is the work Lisbon, that is a tribute to the builders of the city by José de Guimarães. These two works have in common its position, both at Lisbon waterfront. However, the relationship with the place is expressed in different ways. The Neri's intervention, and I choose this work because I know you are working about color, and I saw your intervention very interesting, and this is a very particular intervention that consists of a set of tiles in some walls of this avenue, Infante Santo, and also the painting of a viaduct. Although it is visible from the pedestrian route, this work is more related with the roadway, giving this kinetic effect to the car route. It has a sequence with other artistic interventions along this avenue, creating a relation with all of these sort of art interventions. And this piece has a strong relationship with the place, and it's undoubtedly a case of public art integration. Without this intervention, this infrastructure would be certainly very different. Passing to the other intervention, the José de Guimarães, it consists on a sculpture with strong colors, a pedestal with 7 steps, and a pavement design. These physical characteristics of the sculpture, as the scale, the strong colors, and this high position from the square, and also the slope of the urban X, provide a permanent visualization of both the sculpture and the water. In terms of placement, this intervention has similarities with the statue of Dom José I, although completely different from an aesthetic point of view. Both are on a pedestal in a square near the water, and if Dom José I is a representation of the king's power, the work Lisbon is a tribute to the city. With this strong symbolic meaning, it is also a tribute to the builders of the city, choosing for that an emblematic place next to the two-way entrance of one event that was very completely changed a part of the city. It was this Expo 98 Universal Exhibition in Lisbon. In the opposite attitude of an understanding of public art as decorative objects, the two analyzed examples represent an interaction with the place, and both contribute not only to the physical, visual and symbolic enhancement of a place, but also to the monumentalization of the waterfront. Speaking about Expo 98, it's important to explain that Lisbon has 17 kilometers long. It's a port city in which the port occupies a significant extension of the waterfront. And also that the waterfront has been a scenario of several architectural and urban interventions. The Expo 98 has a public art program that transformed this area into one of the most densely monumentalized in the city. And here we can see the evolution of public art in the waterfront, and you can see that in the decade after the event, there is a very increase of art elements in 1998, and we can see that in the decade after the event, there was a significant increase of intervention, but in many cases, we can also see, and I analyzed it one by one, that today somehow they are subverting the public logic, because they are not in some more public positions, and sometimes they are confined to buildings and giving economically value to the housing spaces. So it's like a way of increasing the value and economic value of those spaces. In fact, those interventions of the post-expo reflect a certain exhaustion of the previous policies and of public art itself. In recent years, cities have seen social economical changes, which generating the need to develop urban processes more people-centered and less on the built space, which means perhaps that public art has to reinvent itself. The attention is now focused on the label of urban art, moving a specialized and international audience and generating an important economic movement. If the cities, specifically the cities have policies on it, as for example in Lisbon, the case of Urban Art Gallery, the GAU, that is a municipality department in the city of Lisbon, which works with the urban art, inviting artists and promoting spaces to these kind of interventions. And as we can see in this photo, initiatives such as the Wool Festival in Covilhã, like a lot of other like these, there are in certain they are appearing in a lot of cities for all the world. Despite the interest of some of these practices, in many cases there is not an ability to modify context or simply to establish relationships with the environment. In opening new possibilities for public art, it is also important to consider new ways of making the city, and to promote perhaps a more participated process where art can exist in an integrated way and not with a decorative role of spaces. These new possibilities of public art, and here some case of the in port cities, specifically in port and waterfront cities, can thus arise from the intersection between the specificities that characterize these cities, or in general the cities, and the complexity of relationships that determine the current urban life. So I finished my presentation, and I'm here if you want to pose some questions.
Thank you, Rita Ochoa, for your great presentation and for the possibility to understand a little more about urban art and the interaction between architecture and those, let's say, heritage elements from the urban nature. It was really good to see your presentation. So now we are going to open a short time for some questions. I know already that Filomena already asked me to make a question, okay? And we are all online. Maybe now, I don't know, maybe we can open all the micros now because, well, I believe that we can talk all at the same time. What do you think? Maybe it's more easy? Yes, so if everyone will open the microphones, we can talk all at the same time, and then we can not hear anyone. It will be better. So, Filomena, you may start.
Okay. So my question is for Antonio Polainas. I was listening to your presentation, and you mentioned that there is that the students really don't know the business world. I have worked at the German school some years ago, and what I have witnessed is that already at high school they start internships in companies. Do you think that if our students at university level or earlier, if they would start earlier internships in companies, do you think that this would be helpful so that they would have a better understanding of the business world later on when they finish their courses?
Yes, of course, but what I mentioned was a different kind of knowledge. It's how can I make me like how can I make a business enterprise? Not to be in the enterprise to see how it works or how I have to work in the enterprise. Is to be proactivity. It means that I have no work, what I have to do to make peers work, you know, and because of course we know that in all places it is difficult for everyone. So it's important to be proactivity. It means that not to wait if there is an enterprise that call me, or if I have opportunity to have to go there to have a small job or everything, something like this. But to be able alone to promote works. I remember Corbusier, you know, in the first times he saw a building, an old building, make a scratch in the paper and went to the owner and say, if you want, I can have this project to your building, you know. It was proactivity in that time. So, and we have to make seed students that they are able to do that. You know, if you go to a shop, I was speaking about set design, they have to go to a shop, any shop, to say, with a new design, you can win 10% of money. So why don't you trust me? And that my new design is that mindset that is important to the students. I mean, not only to go to enterprise to work and now what to work.
But anyway, they have to know the knowledge how
yes, of course,
a business works.
Yes.
And they have to develop a set of skills which they can apply anywhere or everywhere.
Yes. There are two different things, you know. This is right. The other thing is in the beginning, see, in old course, to have proactivity, to have mindset, to have everything, those skills, because they are important in the business universe, you know. Without them, because what I see, what I saw in those years are good people, good professionals, but they stopped in the middle of the way because they don't know how to do it, you know.
But you know, our course has the subject of management and economy.
Yeah.
But it's kind of very hard to try to our colleagues to understand that this is a very important subject for the students, because we still look at the architecture and the urban process as something that is almost an artist thing. We don't need to know nothing about business. We don't know to know nothing about only about some things of the architecture process. But in our days, I think that is very important. You know, try to see some kind of things that we can apply and we can put in practice, and we can make the difference, because there are a lot of things that are doing, and if you don't have some knowledge that we can put in practice when we finish the course, it's very difficult and it's very hard. It's a very complicated world.
But attention, as I mentioned in the presentation, you have to build a bridge, because the mindset of an artist is really, well, okay. Now it's different from a man of business, you know, and you have because we have to make a bridge for make them together and understand what is important. Because if you go to an art university with the program of business, normal program, will fail. Of course, will fail. You know, because you have to
like the how much we can spend on, for example, a construction or maybe a building or like public space. This is all dictated by the money, and we don't really, like, at least for me, I don't really have the notion for now on how to really know all of that and how to accomplish constructing something without knowing the value of things, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. But there is something that must appear naturally, not like something that you immediately say no. It's impossible to learn so many numbers, so many formulas. No, we have you students have to understand it's natural for a professional, and without this knowledge you can do anything. You can do, because
Ivana, what you would like to say?
I work a lot with the students, and I'm very interested in culture. How culture affects the students' behavior. And I and I think we always discuss about university curricula, but we forget that students pass from the primary school and secondary school, and we skip those steps. We are talking about Germany, and in Germany there is no person who is not aware how much of the tax is going there, and that's the reason why German people behave in a completely different way. They don't think that the health system or someone is wrong. They know they pay for. In my country, people think that state needs to provide them with the top health insurance, but also they know people who work, who don't pay taxes, and it's normal. They will never say, oh, they don't pay taxes, they stole from my health insurance. They don't connect. They don't understand how state behave, public finance, personal finance. I think some topics like public finance, personal finance, even creativity should be in a primary school and secondary school. We learn biology, we learn chemistry, and other topics which are very interesting and very important. But we should consider that such things should be better implemented in this society if we move them in a primary school or even kindergarten. So, at the faculty, it's hard to change everything. We cannot blame the faculty for everything what we produced at the end, because we meet people which are already grown up and know there are persons which are already grown and have attitudes and everything, and it is hard to change it.
So I think that Erika wants to talk also from Jump.
Hi. Hi to everyone, and hi to Ivana and everyone. Congratulations. I'm documenting, so I was following almost all the speeches. I would like just to share exactly what happened today. We have a lot of events at the same time. So I was jumping from a country to another to the different meetings. But in the middle, a young student of marketing and business from Rome wanted to come, and she wanted to understand what we do, because we are an association and we also have a company. And while talking to her about what we do, she was a kind of expert in digital marketing, business, and e-commerce platform. So she's studying, she's doing the master thesis now. She wants a case study, so she would like to make the final work on Jump and the company, which is called Closer to Europe. And while talking to her, I said, "Oh, you are very expert." "Yeah, but I'm not able to do what you do." And they said, "But you are saying to me, giving other names or giving titles to what we do in reality. We are entrepreneurs. We employ people, and we are searching people like this girl who knows many things that could be helpful for us, but she knows the theory. She doesn't know how to design a website. She doesn't know how to edit a video. She knows the theory of social media marketing. She was making a lot of questions. And we said, but if you make the question, don't you want to learn? Don't you want to do something and maybe cooperate? I'm doing my master thesis. I will be very, very busy in the next year, and I have to study the cases. I need to make a lot of investigation. And we say, is it not better to practice or to do something together? Don't you want to develop maybe a communication agency, or what do you want to do? She was expert in theory, so saying a lot of new terms, new ways how to call the things we do in reality that maybe I call in my way. And she knows like something written in a book that I was fascinating by this young girl. She studied in Rome at a very, very important university, the LUMSA University, which is related also to the Vatican. So, and the professor she show us the task she has to do. And I said, in the next 1 year, instead of studying, why don't you practice, or you can learn many things, because I see that just you miss just the link, you miss just the practice, the enter into the job and do something which is very strategic at the moment. And she was like doubtful and confused, because from the university she received the task, the guideline to do the thesis and work 1 year. And I said, for me, 1 year is a long time. In 1 year, you can open your business, do what you know in theory, and you could do it in Calabria, our region, because in this moment I'm speaking from Calabria, which is your homeland. She's from here, but she lives in Rome. And she studied in Rome, but now for the lockdown, she had to come here. And she wants to stay here because parents are here, because the weather is better, and she doesn't pay the rent in the flat in Rome, which is very expensive. And she doesn't have other costs. So we say, why you are studying? Why you don't practice? Why your teacher, your lecturer don't say, meet the study case and do something together? Because we are very open to this. We need people, we need human resources able to do, very good in speaking, but also able to do. She said that she's not able to do what we do, but she knows what we do. So today is very tiring. We are online all the time, but I think there's a missing link between, of course, what is done in the universities in Europe, let's say, and the real practice, which is something obvious, is a very old issue. But right today, I was thinking, hey, this girl is a human resource. She's young, she's smart, she's very digital, but she says that she's not able to do. And just to close, related to the professor Filomena, that I see the painting now, but I think she mentioned the soft skills. What is missing connecting Antonio and Filomena, so the small debate, and Ivana, is the entrepreneurial skills. So the self-entrepreneurship spirit, the culture of entrepreneurship, which is missing. And there is a skill that is not mentioned, which is not a skill, is the courage to do something. We are missing the courage because it's very risky. Business making is risk taking. So you renounce to do many things because you are doing business. And related to an event which the University of Split, so our colleague Ivana, hosted in the month of November, called WIRE, a big European event connecting regions. There was some entrepreneurs from Croatia, very creative, genius, and I took part to a debate, and I asked to this guy, why don't you take part to some European project? And he said, because I'm a businessman. I don't have time. I'm a land businessman, so I'm connected with the land, with the cultural heritage and the place where I live, which is a small place in Croatia. So he's a farmer, a kind of farmer, digital farmer. He made a beautiful project, very useful for farmers all over the world, in my opinion. And he said, I can't travel, I can't go around, I can't lose my time because I'm an entrepreneur. So I need to be here day and night, and I have to work to grow my business. So I remember that this guy talked to me that maybe I'm going too much around and I need to root more in this land to make business in this land. I wanted to share these thoughts. Sorry. Yeah, Ivana. What is Ivana?
I think you are just opening a field for a new project. I work with the Croatian Agency for Reaccreditation, and our learning outcomes defined according to the ESG standards and everything are very nice and should be very good for learning outcomes in the terms that students should know what to do. But still, at the faculties, we ask students, even we write in our curriculum learning outcomes very fancy, like critical thinking and everything. In the accreditation procedure, we always find out that students don't do critical thinking or something like that. They mostly do like exams where they need to answer questions from the literature or something. And until it's like that, students will always do the same. They will always just learn a theory, because theory is only what is count on. So it is a really, really open floor to teach teachers how to make learning outcomes in a way that can be useful for the practice. And also, when we are developing new curricula, it is actually obligatory to involve business in the creation, but no one is doing that, not in a right way.
Because it's a long time to work with students. For me, as entrepreneur, I'm an educator, I'm a trainer, I'm an entrepreneur, but it's a long time that you have to give to the person. That's why companies are doubtful in welcoming or having here students. That's why, you know.
And I think if you learn students how to creative thinking, critical thinking, you will learn them more than if you learn them the definitions and theories.
Yes, of course.
And it is possible. And we do that with this curricula because it is totally new, and the team who created is also very open, and my students don't need to ask definitions. They need to apply what we are talking about at the real situations. They have more simulations, more critical thinking, more creative thinking than in any of other course I teach. So we should developing new stuffs. I believe in that.
Yeah. What Tiago Santos presented is absolutely something which shocked me and would be perfect for a festival in a local village called Badolato, 20 minutes from here. And I would like to ask to Tiago to sell to me the idea, because we really could do it. I know an electrician and also some artists. We are creating a group. What he did is perfect for Via Umberto I in Badolato Old Village. And if Tiago wants to come here, I host him. You can have everything for free, please. Miguel Pinto can buy for you the ticket, because he's very good in buying tickets, Professor Pinto. So you can come here. You are my guest, our guest. And believe me, what you produce, the idea is absolutely perfect for a festival or something in that specific place, I tell you. Then I just could see some of the other presentations, but I will see the final movie. And it's really practical what students presented. So what students produce is the key, in my opinion, for teachers. And many lecturers should be entrepreneurs. So it's a difficult issue. Difficult.
Thank you.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
Thank you. I don't speak very well English, but with the professor, we can talk about it. Thank you.
Yeah, also because I don't know how to do it, but I know that there are people here who could develop your idea. It's absolutely financing. It's not so much money, but to pay you for your idea, I would do it tomorrow. Believe me, it's something, but the mayor should pay you to do it. Also, the other idea of the guy, the lot of colors that the other guy, the one who speaks perfectly English, Guilherme Terra. Perfect. Beautiful ideas there. In
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Olha, podias acabar agora e ficávamos.
Hello. So, Erika, those guys are very good students because they was not so scared to appear in public and to show and present them work. So I'm very happy that in some way the students can have or feel the feeling that someone that it is not a teacher, so someone from outside, he is, let's say, criticizing in a good way your work. And this is an example for the other students that they are online as guests to understand how important it is to participate in the events and in the things that teachers, universities organized, because it's always an opportunity for students. This is very important, and for sure you will sleep more happy today because he was here, you know, and someone that it is not a teacher in the middle of something make a comment about your work. So for sure you have good energy today. This is one thing as a teacher that I would like to say. The second thing, of course, in our classes, and I know that in project also, they are doing something similar, but the idea since the beginning, it was really to promote the street. So how to improve the street in such a way that people could go there, sometimes because they feel curiosity, for other times because the idea is to develop business, because the shops are closed, they are empty, and how to put people again on the street, because the streets nowadays are completely in silence. And I believe that after COVID, because many shops are closed forever, the streets will be very sad. So we must find, as architects, we must find a way to promote, you know, good mood in people, and in some way help to develop maybe new ways to do business. This is very important, and this is the idea that we had to do with our students here. And we associated with the cultural studies in business because since I enter in this team, that I, let's say, manipulated the subject of cultural studies in business, not in a way to do a different course, but to improve the skills of my subject, you know? So in drawing classes, we start talking about communication, and we start talking about business and the way how to promote, well, how to sell the project, how to promote the street, how interact with people. So this is an experience, and as a teacher and my colleague Ana Fidalgo here, we are very happy, and we are still developing these ideas with students with new ideas. But also, just for you to understand, the other students, they was more shy to present them work, but we have around 22 articles with ideas to promote the street. And they are really good articles, all in English, and with the same layout. We will send it to you maybe during next week. And these 4 students who presented here, I will send it to you also, them presentations, because, well, it makes parts of our cultural studies in business project. So I believe that it should be saved there. And I'm talking now in them name to say thank you for your words and for your interest in the work that we developed here in the university, for sure, because for us as architects, it's really difficult to work, as I told in the beginning, between emotions and management, between emotions and numbers. And this is the moment of changing. This is the moment to do something, because after this crisis from the COVID, we know that we are, and we have the opportunity to show something different to the world. So the time is now. So this is just a few words, and I don't want to talk more. But I know that my colleague Claudia wants to make one more question. I think it's to Arthur. I don't know if you have any more questions here about this subject. No? Okay. So maybe now Claudia can. Arthur, are you there?
Yes, I'm
Thank you,
here.
Erica. Thank you, Erica.
So Arthur, how are you? I hope fine. Well, the question I should like to ask you, it's more a kind of reflection about the theme that you brought here. What do you think that is the main contribution of your work for this business applied to architecture and to apply to the space?
Okay, thank you, Claudia, for this question, and of course I'm happy to see you and all of you once again. So it's really great adventure. Well, generally speaking, I believe that well, we should be aware that technology, in whatever business we think about, technology may have two sides. So first one, when it is complementary one, it may make our life more simple. So sometimes we used to spend a lot of time on the things that were routine, mundane, and they had really a little contribution to the final work of someone, either the artist or manager, whoever. And we can also have the technology who is completely replacing us. And it's in such a case, it is really a challenge for us to decide where is a barrier, where is a line, where is the front line. What is made by human and what is made by technology. So it's probably this case to decide where we want to make this line and where when we want to work just with human and with people. I believe that this pandemic situation and generally the very rapid development of artificial intelligence and robotics, generally speaking, it will provoke a situation that well, a lot of things are well technically made by the algorithm and the system. So generally speaking, we should rethink our philosophy of construction, philosophy of designing, and philosophy of creating some new things to be generally speaking ready to decide where is this line that we would like not to cross. So that's my perceived contribution here.
Thank you very much, Arthur.
Thanks a lot, and see you. I hope that in the reality very soon.
I hope so.
Thank you.
We are in the world of hologram.
Sure.
Rita Ochoa, I have a question for you, my dear colleague. I'd like to ask you, how do you feel? Well, I would like to ask you if urban art in some way could improve or not the spirit of the place. You know what I'm saying? So if could improve or not, well, if we'll attract people to go there and they will feel happy, or if for you in some way, in some situations, maybe it could be a problem for architecture. What do you think about it?
I think we cannot generalize the situation, so there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of situations. My point of view is that urban art, that is a specification of a bigger hat that is the public art, could be a very interesting way of creating dynamics in a place. But for it, it can be done in a way that takes in consideration this place, the people that live there, and not only as an image to send a specific place. I think this is a very bigger discussion, but the thing that I wanted to show is that sometimes it is this kind of intervention can be external to a place and could be more. Nowadays we have a lot of internet sites about public art. We can see an intervention in any part of the world, and this is like a parallel way of but in my opinion the most important thing is that this could create dynamics and could really improve the places in connection with the spirit of the place, and not only to see at distance. This is another point of view of this, but the more important thing is to create because this is the genesis of this kind of intervention, is to make something happen, or also to it translate that something is happening. For example, I talk about Lisbon waterfront. We can see like a map of public art interventions, and we can see like it translates that public spaces are being moved and being dynamic. So it can be also like a symptom of something that is happening. And this way, I think it's interesting to observe and to pay attention to it, but having in mind that it should be more than an image. I don't know if you if I'm explaining myself well.
No, it was very good. It was just to understand your opinion, because of course urban art sometimes improve the spirit of the place. Other times it could be a problem. You know, the first idea that I had, it's not urban art, but well, I was thinking about the pink street, that now so many people copy that, well, that style and do in other places, the blue street, the green street, wherever, you know. So, well, my opinion and my feeling is that the first one, okay, it was different and in some way promotes the place, but the others, well, I'm not so sure, you know. I need time to understand if there was a good idea or not, because, well, when I go to the blue street in Lisbon, for example, I always remember the pink street. I'm always thinking, oh, it's a copy, it's not the same, you know, because we have the idea of the first one, so the others are a copy. But anyway,
I'm a little. Also, I'm a little critic about it, because, as you said, sometimes we see a lot of interventions, for example, in neighborhoods with problems and social problems. We make like invitation to a lot of artists, and they come to 2 or 3 days. They paint all the walls with colorful images, but in fact, what is the consequences of it in this space? It is generating improves of this space or not?
Yes.
So I'm a little critical about it.
Yes, I'm also the same.
Yes.
Okay, I believe that we will finish for now. We have 6 minutes to finish, so I think it's not necessary to put one more Zoom to extend the conference. It's being very long. I'm very happy because we are here since 10 p.m. So many people talked and so many emotions appeared in the middle of all of this. It was a very beautiful moment, in my opinion. And I just would like to say thank you to all of you, that you have done a great effort to make part of this meeting, because this is a conference, but it is a meeting at the same time, because almost all of us, we know each other, and who don't know, they will start to know, because from now we are a big team, a big group. We are bigger and bigger on this subject. And I really believe that this is very important to do this kind of events inside of the university and with the students, not only with locals or with people from outside of the university, but it's very important the participation of the students. And I'm happy because we had 4 students here, but we had around 22 or 25 students online all day. And this is amazing because this is Friday afternoon. So usually people prefer to go home and start to think what they will do at night. So thank you, really thank you to, this time I will say thank you first to the students, second to Jump and Maria Cristina, because they are, let's say, the brain of the cultural studies in business, and then to all my colleagues and friends that they will come and they will spend this time with us. And well, I don't know more what to say. I only can say really thanks. And I believe that it was a good moment of something. And I hope that you also enjoy it. And we will see next step other day. Just for your idea of, just for you to know, I made the movie of our conference. So I will try to check what's happened, and if someone would like to have it or to see, I will send it, okay? And we are also trying to make a short book with, I just stopped talking because the wind is so strong, because we have a very strong storm in Portugal at this moment. The wind is around 100 kilometers per hour here in Covilhã, and I still need to drive to Lisbon. So let's see if I will go to Morocco, if I will not stop in Lisbon. But so thank you to everyone, my colleagues, Claudia and Ana Vidal.